radio show based on the work I do as a past life regression and life between lives regression therapist and spiritual counselor. So on this show, over the next number of weeks, we talk about past lives and past life regression. We talk about the afterlife and what we've come to know about the afterlife and the journey of the soul through the work of Dr. Michael Newton and the process he has taken people to their afterlife memories called life between lives regression, and of course the spirituality of the soul, how to see your life through your spiritual eyes and how to think through your spiritual mind as a soul. So every Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. here at the Go Network. And by the way, I just want to pause for one moment and give real props to the Go Network. These people are incredible. This is an awesome opportunity for anybody who is a consultant, a coach, be it in business, be it in finances. If you want to reach a broader audience, contact the Go Network at gonet.com. That's GEAUX net.com, where we're streaming live every Wednesday from 7 to 9. We're also on Facebook Live, as well as you can download the TuneIn app. Type in Go Network onto your phone or tablet, and you can take us everywhere you want to go every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. The number here is 857-366-5444. This is a call-in radio show, as well as you can text at 857-445-0424, or you can message me on Facebook Live. But for this show, this intro show, next week's show, we're going to be talking about past lives and past life regression. This show is more of an intro show, and I just want to make that clear. So when you call in today is more about sharing, and I'm going to talk more about that in a second. Next week's show, absolutely all about past lives, all about past life regression, the process I take my clients through, all the questions that you want to call in, and I will certainly answer. So in today's show, we're going to be focusing on something different, because I gave a lot of thought to what I would do in this first show. What would it be? And, you know, if you've been on a spiritual path, if you've been in kind of this way of life, then you're going to come to realize that books fall off of shelves, you meet people along the way, and the opportunities to answer your questions come to you. And something happened to me this week. So I want to share with you what took place for me this week. Because my mother was visiting from Florida, and I was telling her all about this radio show I'm going to do. And I was very excited. And she looks at me, and in her wisdom, my mother says this. She says, "Jonathan, I understand you believe in this, but how do you know?" And it was amazing to me. In that moment, I realized there is no way I can get her to know my knowing. My knowing's been happening over time. It started back in 1993, 94. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about that journey, how I got here, because frankly, anything I say after that is just kind of not really allowing you to know who I am and why I speak the way I speak. For those who know me from my history and hear me now, I just sound like I've always sounded, but my mind has certainly been changed over time. For those who have worked with me and have been through the process, please give a call when the time is right to share your experiences. The second part of the show will be all about the spirituality of the soul, how to see your life through your spiritual eyes, and how to think through your spiritual mind. In this part of the show, we're going to be focusing much more on just this kind of intro. So if you have the moment when you became aware that there was something more you had to look for, something more that you had to share, the books you read, the videos you've seen, the teachers you've met, please, through Facebook Live, message me, text me, or call in and let us know. That would be awesome. And we'll be taking calls a little bit in the second part of the program. In this part of the program, it's all about how the heck did we ever get to this point of knowing? I mean, if you think about it, the idea of a soul, this show is called the Past Life Regression Radio Show. So it automatically gives you the impression of what this show is all about. But how do we even believe that there's such things as past lives? How would we even come to consider there's such a thing as a soul? And in programs, we're going to be discussing all that. But as I looked at my mother in that very moment, I realized there was nothing I could say to her other than, how much time do you have for me to tell you my story, my journey to knowing. And she didn't have that much time. And I appreciated the question because through her wisdom, she brought me to this moment to help me kind of open this intro show, this show to the Past Life Regression radio show. Because frankly, I had been struggling over the last weeks. What am I going to do in this very first program? And so thank you, Mother. I very much appreciate your wisdom. So the bottom line is, how do you get to a place of knowing? You don't start there. You start as a seeker, but something pushes you to seek. Something drives you in that moment to go seek. Otherwise, you don't listen to shows like this. Otherwise, you're going to go on with your life and not care in this kind of way about this kind of information. So in the moment that you started to enter into seeking, something pushed you there. And I want to share with you what pushed me to that moment of seeking, that moment when in my life it was like, whoa, okay, what is going on here? And I'm going to take you back to my life in 1993. It was February of 1993, and I'm working for my father in his construction business. And what my father did is he remodeled kitchens and bathrooms in economically depressed areas in Boston. And what he would do, and I always thought it was a very wonderful thing, he would help people who could not get loans, low-income loans. He would help them get these loans to remodel their kitchens and bathrooms. And I'd been working with him for over a year at that point. See, I'd left my first career in the film and photography industry. I graduated with a fine arts degree. And I'd done that work for over a number of years. And I left because I couldn't take the nepotism. You know, I love the art in the community, but frankly, what I discovered about myself, I'm a terrible butt kisser. So I realized this may not be the industry for me. And when I came back to Boston, I was floating. I had no idea where I was going. I was about 30 years old at the time. Now, as I'm working for my father in 1993, it had been over a year thereabouts. It's February, and it is a wintry day. And my father, God love him, my father said, hey, it's not a bad storm, get going to work. And so I'm driving through a cold, wintry day all the way to Roxbury, Mass. And I'm working on the third floor of a 3-family home in the kitchen that had no heat. And this place was in squalor. This place, you know, walls were crumbling, floors were coming up. It was terrible. And myself and my coworker were in the kitchen tearing down old horsehair plaster that smelled of mold in this freezing cold kitchen in Roxbury, Massachusetts. But in the kitchen, myself and my coworker that day was the mother and her 3 small preschool children with blankets over their shoulders, sitting around an open electric oven door, trying to stay warm throughout the day. And so we're working around these kids and this mom, and I'm trying not to give it too much attention because I could feel it was really affecting me. It's affecting me right now. And we went throughout our day. And the thing is, I always felt we were doing something good in the community, you know, really helping the community out. So I was never really taken aback by too much. This moment took me back like no other moment in my life. I'm 31 years old at the time. I have no idea where I'm going in my life. I'm kind of in this existential loss. And I'm there with this mother and her 3 small children in this freezing cold place, tearing down old horsehair plaster. Well, at the end of the day, we said goodbye to the mom, and as a gracious hostess she was, as she was cooking soup for her family, she gave myself and my coworker a small bowl. And we accepted, knowing it would take a little less from her family, but the gesture was just magnanimous in her way. And then I went and I said goodbye to my coworker, and I got into my heated car. And instead of driving home, I drove down to a back alley, and I parked my car, and I cried. But I didn't just cry, I sobbed. And in that moment, I could feel it. It was deep. It was happening. I was dropping down. I was entering into an existential crisis of questioning the life worth living. Why? I couldn't understand how humankind is so unkind to humans. How these little ones, you know, the ones that have the right temperament, they can get themselves up, but the majority, they're conditioned to continue on in the culture. And I couldn't understand, with all that we had, why were we not providing for the little ones this way? And as I cried and as I continued to heave this through my body and my being, I could feel it deeply. I was deeply, deeply going into this existential, deep, deep hole. So now I'm going to flash forward 4 months. It's June of 1993. I'm in Florida. I'm visiting my Uncle Ricky. But my Uncle Ricky's dying. See, my Uncle Ricky's dying of cancer. See, my Uncle Ricky in his healthy years, 6'2", 210 pounds. My Uncle Ricky had his hair salon on North Miami Beach. He loved women. Women loved him. I loved women. He was my mentor of machismo. Now he's lying in his bed, months away from death. I'm 31 years old, and I am deep in my own existential moment. And I love this man like no other. This is the first person in my life that really had meaning, really mattered that they were dying. And he's lying there in his bed, 150 plus pounds maybe, in a fetal position, cancer eating him from the inside out. He looks at me and he asks me this question that would profoundly change my life, this question to make it why I am sitting here right now talking to you like this about past lives and the soul and spirituality. My Uncle Ricky looks at me, and with the fear in his eyes of not knowing, he asks me this question. He says, "Is this it? I'm born, I live, I die, I fade to black. Is this it?" And I was blown away. My jaw dropped. He couldn't have asked me a more penetrating question in the moment. Now, the irony is this. I actually had an answer. Something more that came through me than from me, I think. Because I said to my Uncle Ricky, I said, Uncle Ricky, I got to tell you, if we're born, live, die, and fade to black, and there is nothing after this but darkness, I don't exist, I won't know I ever existed, I'm living this life in the beach in the Caribbean, and I'm having fun, all the way to darkness. It's seek out the pleasure, avoid the pain, hedonism, here I come. And we laughed. We laughed because nothing could be more absurdly true. That if this is meaningless, if nothing happens after this, then what's the purpose? What's the meaning? Why even bother? Go to the beach, work in your tan, drink your rum drinks, and then fade out of existence. But I had another answer as well. I said to my uncle, but before I do that, I better find out. And man, I'll tell you, it's like life put me on this path in that moment. And sure enough, it's a month later. And I'm lying on the beach with a best buddy of mine on Duxbury. And in his bag was a book that should not have been in my buddy's bag. See, my buddy doesn't read much, nor does he really kind of tend to this kind of thinking. He's a very grounded individual, very successful person. But this kind of conversation, it's entertainment. But actuality is another story. And in his bag in that moment, there was a book. And the book's title was, We Don't Die. Now, let me explain. My buddy's father died about a year prior. And his fiancée at the time, whose mother died 8 years prior, gave him this book to read and said, here, read it. You really enjoy it. And my buddy said, okay. And, was not overly thrilled, but he loved this woman at the time, and he kind of fished through it and all that, from what he tells me. And now he's going to the beach. And she kind of brings it to him for him to bring in his beach bag, and he brings it to the beach. And it's sitting there in his beach bag. This book with the title, We Don't Die, and I had entered into this existential, My uncle was dying. He was fading to black as far as I understood. And the irony was this, that when I started to open this book and I started to read it, within the first paragraph of this book, my body started to tingle. And I felt like something was waking up. And I want to share what this book is, what woke me up in that moment. It was a book about a man named George Anderson Jr. And George has the capacity to speak to dead people. Now, we hear of mediums in the world, and we question the authenticity. But I'm reading George's story. See, George was raised Roman Catholic, and George, around 6 years old, had a virus that almost killed him, and at one point paralyzed him. And at one point, miraculously, he healed months later. But when he healed from this virus, he had a capacity to know things, a capacity to see things. George could see dead people and communicate to the afterlife. Now, nobody believed him, of course. He went to Catholic school and things as such. He did have nuns that were compassionate, understanding. He had ones that certainly were atrocious and treated him like he was some sort of anomaly that should not have been addressed in the first place. But George grew through his years, and George continued on. And George was even brought into medication for a while. And that medication certainly had an effect, but certainly didn't stop anything. And George one day was brought to this opportunity. See, a friend of his was working at an AM radio station in New York City. And she went to the producer of that show. She said, "You got to have my friend on the program." And the producer's like, "Why? What can your friend do?" And the person was like, "My friend can speak to dead people." And of course, the producer's like, "Well, I'm sorry, but I have enough people from late night New York TV, and this is radio. This is AM radio here, calling this program. I don't need somebody on here that maybe may incite them all." She said, "Just meet with him." Well, not only did this man meet with him, he wrote books about George. George does not write books about himself. George can do what he can do. George is authentic. So in that moment, as I'm there and I'm witnessing this, and I read this, and this awakening occurred for me, I had a certain thought. Okay, so we don't die. Then what? And sure enough, not more than about a month or so later, I come across another book, Brian Weiss, Many Lives, Many Masters. Now, Brian Weiss's story was also authentic. You know, Brian Weiss was a neuropsychiatrist in Cedars-Sinai in Miami. And Brian Weiss talks about a client of his, a patient he calls Catherine in the book. And Brian describes his journey with Catherine, how over a year's time he was unable at all to be able to help her with her symptoms. And Catherine had a number of symptoms. So Brian decided to do a regression, an age regression, to an earlier time in Catherine's life, when perhaps Catherine had a blocked memory, a repressed memory. It's very common in the field of psychology. So not only did he take her to that point, but Catherine starts reporting a death trauma, a trauma in which she was another woman in another time. And when she died from that death trauma, and she was coming out of it, she starts telling Brian about his father and his son. Now the thing is, Brian's father and son were dead. And she was giving information, that there's no reason why she should have had this information. And so after Brian brought her out, she had no awareness truly of what she was saying in that moment. But within weeks later, her symptoms had cleared up. So at that point, Brian tried to do it again. And he did it again. And at times, she would come out of session and she would channel these incredible universal messages from what he called the masters. And he wrote this book about it, about past lives and past life regression, these messages from the masters. And his story was authentic. And so I read George Innocent, and his story was authentic. We don't die. I read Brian Weiss, and we seemingly reincarnate these stories of past lives that we seem to go through. Then what? What happens from there? And at that point, I went into a whole re-education process. I was looking at life through every lens. The quantum lens, the evolution lens, the psychological lens. And I got my graduate studies in psychology and became licensed in California and worked clinically for a number of years as I paralleled that work and the work of past life regression work. And I went and I read a number of books, a number that came across my way. And up to one point, I had realized that I think I'd absorbed as much information as I could, but I still wasn't certain. I still had my skepticism. I still didn't know. It had been a decade into the journey. At that point, I had done about a dozen past life regressions. In 1994, I had my very first one, and I'm going to be talking about that very first past life regression in a little bit. It's something worth sharing because it's something that fascinated me in the end. And we all ask the same questions when we do this work. And we'll talk about that certainly Much more next week, but certainly somewhat in this program as well. So as I came across these two books, and I came across other books, channeled books, books about from a woman named Jane Roberts. I don't know if you ever heard of the book Seth Speaks, The Eternal Validity of the Soul. Incredible information. I was absorbing information from everywhere, but I wasn't convinced. I hadn't had my aha moment. And then it happened. In 2004, as I'm in this kind of metaphysical drought, this kind of spiritual place. I was working in Bakersfield, California as a clinical supervisor, working in an economically depressed area with children and their families, mostly migrants. And I was kind of lost in the moment. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I know I didn't want to work in a government industry for the rest of my life, but I really enjoyed my job, but I didn't know what the next step was. And I come across this book that's on the bookshelf, two books. The first book I saw was Journey of Souls. The second book I saw was Destiny of Souls. And I thought to myself, great, more books about past life regression. But I opened these books, and these books were fascinating me. Excuse me. These books were about the afterlife and people's reports of the afterlife and what we do as souls, our journey as souls, our nature as souls. What happens in the spiritual dimension. After I read his book, Journey of Souls, it had been a decade since I'd been on the journey of trying to discover and get an answer so that I could live a life here as a human in my experience of being here. And after I read his book, a realization came to me, and I said to myself, this makes sense. Not only do we not die, but we journey on. There is a spiritual dimension. We are souls having a human experience. There's so much more to it. You are more than just a spiritual being. You are a being of much more vast beingness that we'll talk about certainly in our programs. But as I became realized in this, I had a moment where as I moved along, I recognized that if I'm going to have this as a paradigm that I'm going to live through in my life, then certainly I want to walk my walk as well as talk my talk. So in the next part of the program, I'd like you to certainly share any books, any stories perhaps, that you had that helped you awaken, helped you realize there's more to my story, certainly. But that was the beginning of my knowing. You know, two parts of knowing, of course. The one is information, the other is experience. I'm going to talk about my experience in the next half of the program. We'll leave a little time for maybe a call or two if there are any calls certainly that are coming my way. If not, I'll just continue to go on about the journey as far as getting to the place of knowing. So thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Absolutely, I do appreciate it. This is the Past Life Regression Radio Show here every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. We're going to go on a 5-minute break. We're going to return at 7:30, where I'll go into my story of knowing that became more experiential. And I look forward to sharing it with you. Thank you so much for joining in. I appreciate it. Once again, the Past Life Regression Radio Show and Spirituality for Souls. And I think we're tuning out now.
If you're just hearing about therapeutic air for the first time, it's a recyclable diffuser that promotes mood change and life-enhancing effects through our custom blends of essential oils and the ancient practice of aromatherapy. Monk is the simplest aromatherapy device in history. You don't have to know anything about essential oils. We do all that for you. Simply pick the way you want to feel, open your Monk, and breathe in as your Monk diffuses an eclectic blend of essential oils and wild plant extracts. Monk is available in 7 different blends, all of which are organic, natural, and free of nicotine, tobacco, or artificial chemicals. Visit monq.com to learn more.
In a world filled with many distractions, would it be incredible to find a way to get lost in your own choosing? Do you love to hear Chris audio from your favorite podcasts? Have you ever felt like the soundtrack to a movie or video game would sound greater if there was a better way to deliver sound? Bear Dynamic closed-back studio headphones are a perfect tool for any sound enthusiast. Plug in your Bear Dynamic headphones or go on an audio escape. The Bear Dynamic DT770 Pro headphones are a favorite amongst music producers, sound engineers, and broadcasters all over the world. If you're not prepared to compromise on studio sound, visit www.beardynamic.com. That's www.beardynamic.com and get your own pair now. Whether for home or on the go, it is the right product for every need.
Are you in need of stickers, be it for personal or business use? Then you need to go to stickeru.com right now. That's stickeryou.com. Sticker U is passionate about providing you and your business with the highest quality custom stickers, labels, decals, and iron-ons. They can even make you temporary tattoos. If you want to stick out from the competition, then you need Sticker U, as Sticker U provides the best platform in the world to create custom products that make you stick.
When I'm feeling sluggish, I'm not looking for the jittery feeling of coffee. I'm reaching for Neurosonic, the only energy drink I trust to keep me going. Neurosonic is just one of the great drinks in the neurofunctioning beverages line. When I'm stressing an interview, Neuro Bliss keeps me cool, calm, and collected. And when it's time to call it a night, I don't want sleeping pills and all the crazy after effects you hear about. I want Neuro Sleep to help me drift off to dreamland. Neuro drinks are surprisingly low calorie and full of the healthiest and most efficacious vitamins and minerals. Artificial flavors and colors don't work for them, and neither should they for you, so they don't allow them in their drinks. To find a store near you that carries Neuro, go to drinkneuro.com or visit amazon.com to order a 12-pack. Neuro, drink with a purpose.
Aren't you tired of your plain white walls? Do you ever wonder why you feel uninspired at the office or feel like your home lacks character? It's always the same boring walls over and over again. Well, it's time for a change. Visit walldecor3d.com and order wall panels that will turn your walls into beautiful and extravagant looking accent walls. The 3D wall panels give an extra dimension and complement just about any room. Their current selection includes plant fiber wall paneling, MDF wood wall panels, mosaic real wood paneling, and thin slate stone veneer. Remember, that's walldecor3d.com. Order now and add some depth to your life.
Has your computer seen better days? Is it always freezing and lagging? Are you constantly plagued with pop-ups and viruses? Are you not able to get any work done? You don't need a new computer, you need Phoenix Technology Support. With just one call to Phoenix Technology Support, you will never have to stress over the hassles of taking your computer to a repair shop again. Just leave your computer right where it is and let us come directly to you. Phoenix Technology Support has over 10 years of experience in the industry of customer support and IT solutions, and it's the best place for help with all of your home or business electronics. From gaming systems to tablet setups, smartphones to smart TVs, even business servers and emails. We will help set up or troubleshoot almost any technology in your home or office. So next time you think your technology's at the end of its life, have it rise from the ashes like a phoenix by calling Phoenix Technology Support at 617-658-3240. That's 617-658-3240, or go to www.phoenixtechboston.com.
Have you always wanted to make your own podcast? Or had dreams of becoming the next social media influencer? Don't let office space and equipment be what gets between you and your dreams. New studio space is now available through the Go Network. The Go Network is a multimedia broadcast company that currently hosts live radio shows and podcasts. With microphones to fit all guests, the ability to video record interviews, a stage for band performances, and an editing suite to put your audio and video content to the next level. The Go Network will provide assistance with producing, editing, sponsorship outreach, marketing, and more. You can create the podcast or web series you want with the lower price tag. Visit our studio location in Norwood or our audio suite in Canton. For more information, call us at 857-445-0424 or email us at info@gonet.com. That's info@geauxnet.com.
The Past Life Regression radio show and Spirituality for Souls. We are in our second half hour of our program. where I'm going to talk about how I went from informational knowing to experiential knowing. But before I do that, for the people on Facebook Live, I want to share with you some of the books, some of the titles, and I'll flash them. And for all those people who don't see these titles or anything, you can absolutely go to the recording of this program. So again, Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m., but you can also catch the recording. This certainly will be in the recordings as well. So the first book, this is a book I was talking about, We Don't Die. It's a wonderful book. It's great for 3/4 of the book, and then it becomes redundant, but the meaning is no less the same. George's story is absolutely authentic, undeniable. Now, the very cool thing is, as I journeyed through this, I have met other incredible psychics. Some have actually come through my door, and I've worked with them. So in that way, it's undeniable that there are people in the world who can do what George does. I don't have Brian Weiss's book. Sure, I was in my office. I left it there because I'm thinking all about this program, so I totally missed that. But I also want to share with you Journey of Souls. If you're a reader, or you can get it on audiobook as well, of course. If you're a reader or audiobook a file, Journey of Souls, absolutely. At the end of it, really, read it if you're not a reader. At the end of it, please, call back one day. Let me know what you think. And by the way, what's going to happen at the end of this year, as you call in, if you like, we're going to collect names and we're going to collect either email or phone number. I'm going to put you in a hat. At the end of the year, I'm going to pick 2 prizes. One prize is for a free past life regression, the other for a free life between lives regression. I haven't decided if there's a caveat that you have to come back onto the program and talk about it, but at least that. So for all those who are so courageous to call in with your questions, your comments, your kind corrections when you correct me, because my knowing is going to grow, and I get that. That's how we do this. Our knowing grows. And as I know, I grow. And when I know what I think I know, I'm going to grow some more because I'm going to get new knowing. And if you're not open to knowing, if not open to growing, then you're misperceiving what it is you're doing here, what we as souls are doing here, because this show is an absolute bias, as you know, that we are souls living human lives. That when this vehicle of yours is no longer functional, you are going to go on, and we're going to talk so much more about that over the weeks to come. You know, consider this like a spiritual spa. You know, every week you go into the world, and the world really has its energy, the human energy. And there are so many people who are moving and going through humanness, expressing psychological conditions through you, towards you, at each other, in the world. And every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m., this is a community. You know, my clients come and they tell me, Jonathan, I don't have a place to bring this stuff, to talk about this stuff. And I get it. I didn't either. I get what it means to be on the journey and just not have a place to bring the journey. Maybe meet people along the way, but every week, 7 to 9, you can immerse your reality, your realization. And remember, you are a soul here, living a human life. And you are here right now with purpose, intention, with conditions and challenges, all meant to help you grow. And if you take that as the basis, a foundation from which you stand, you will start to see life through spiritual eyes and think through a spiritual mind. But on the way to knowing, books like this, Destiny of Souls, his second book, goes much more into the afterlife and the structure of the afterlife, the nature of us as souls. It's uncanny. And if you're into this stuff, it's awesome. The last book, or one of the last books I'll show you, Memories of the Afterlife, written by Life Between Lives regression therapists around the world. People are experiencing this phenomena around the world. I can't believe it. And in it, they all express their uniqueness, but the sameness to it as well. The journey to the afterlife, the meeting of guides, of being with counsel of master guides, of processing past lives, of planning for future lives, of choosing life bodies, of being with your spiritual family, who are the truth of your spiritual journey. And these people have been with you for majority of time. So in that way, these books, and this one's cool, and okay, a little bit prop for me. I'm in this book. I'm chapter number 25. It's really cool. It's a couple who came to see me from New York who actually validated a cross-section of lifetimes they've shared without ever sharing any of their stories together. They were doing a little experiment. They were very wise. They were very cool. It's a good story. And Dr. Newton does editorials in each story. It's really, really cool. Other books that I found incredibly moving that I talked about as well is this one, Jane Roberts' Seth Speaks, The Eternal Validity of the Soul. It's a big, thick book, but let me tell you, if you like deep stuff, you read a page or two of this, you got to put it down, and you need a day or two of processing. It is awesome, intelligent, insightful, coming from a housewife, I believe, in Minnesota back in the 1970s, who channeled this entity, this personality called Seth. It's an awesome story. I also am really good into bridging science and spirits. I have studied as best as I can the principles of quantum science. I am no genius by any means, but I have some really great physicist friends. I hope to have some on the program. Again, this is the book in case you want to see it. I hope to have them on the program because we're going to bring the science into spirituality as well, because you can't. You have to weave in all the threads. Science, physiology, anatomy. How the heck can we even do this thing called past life regression? What makes it work? I mean, the idea of evolution and the idea of religion as well. The idea of near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences. There are so many things, so much phenomena that occurs, paranormal phenomena. You know, we can't take any of this out of consideration. Actually, we have to bring it all in. We have to take all the threads and weave it into the tapestry of knowing, and sure enough, it does. And I'll talk all about that over the weeks to come. So if you're interested, you really enjoy it. Another good book I really enjoyed, The Spiritual Universe by Fred Alan Wolfe. He really brings the quantum science into the idea of a soul, what we are in our nature. But Dr. Newton's work, that's a lot of fun. I really recommend that book. So I talked about in the break, I had mentioned that I was going to share how I got to knowing. Okay, I'm going to share. And this happened back to me in 1994. Now, I had gone back to graduate school in psychology for marriage and family therapy out in California. And my uncle had passed on at this point. And I had a friend out there in California named Bert Corliss. And little did I know that Bert Corliss would become my mentor in past life regression, hypnosis, and therapy. See, Bert was like one of these small little restaurants that nobody knows about that seats only 6 to 8 people. But you go there and it's the best food ever. Bert worked out of his home. Bert has passed on from cancer himself. But he passed on to me a knowledge and experience that I'm going to share with you now. Something that happened to me that, well, I'm just going to let you know. So, what happened? I had my very first past life regression. Now, it's, I think, September of 1994. And Bert had been working with me a little bit in the work of hypnosis and going into trance. He wanted to make certain that I knew what it felt like to go into trance. And I'm going to talk much more in the next program about what trance is, what hypnosis is. I'm going to demystify it, and I'm going to help you see the actual rational logic of how this works and why you can best understand how the phenomena of this regression hypnosis process, how that happens for us. But when Bert brought me through this journey, I had no expectations. I was a seeker. I just wanted to know, do we die? And all right, I'd read enough books, and okay, I got it. So as I'm in this moment, and Bert has me in this Barca lounger, and he's putting me through this trance session, and he brings me through this tunnel, and he brings me out of the light at the end of the tunnel, and he says, look down at your feet. What do you have in your feet? And you know what? I didn't see anything, but I knew it. I knew there was something there. And I said to him, I think it's moccasins. And when I said that, boop, this imagery of moccasins, a small pair, popped in my mind. And he said, look at your legs. What do you have in your legs? And I could really start to see my legs. These were legs of a young adolescent boy. And I said, nothing on my legs. And I was wearing a loincloth type object. I had nothing over my upper body. And then he asked me, what are you doing? Notice what you're doing. Nothing came through me. I was totally blank. And he told me to notice any sensation of movement in the body. any dominant thought or feeling in your mind. And I'm lying in this lounge, this Barca lounge. I'm not moving at all, but I feel a sensation on my right-hand side, like I'm swinging an axe. And as I followed it, I said to him, I think I'm hitting a bush with my bow. And when that happened, a late summer season bush popped into my mind. And he asked me, you're hitting a bush with your bow? How come? And I didn't know why, but what came through my mind, because I'm not censoring what's coming through my mind, I'm just allowing whatever impression is coming upon my mind to speak it. And I said, I'm hunting a rabbit. It ran into the bush, and I'm trying to scare it out. And I was like, ooh, that made sense. He said, look up and around you. Notice where you are, and describe it to me. And now I could see in my mind where I was. What I could see was a mountain landscape, forested, coming down to a valley floor. I could see a valley grass. It was brown like late summer season grass. And I could see a little village off to my left, but close to the foot of the mountain. And he asked me all these questions about this Native American tribe. I was a 12-year-old Native American boy out on a hunt for the afternoon when I entered into that lifetime. And I described this journey of this lifetime of basically migrating through the Appalachians in the early 1800s or so. And we'd go down the valley floor to hunt game when they migrated. Then we'd go back up into the forest during the times when there was no more game migrating. And what happened was settlers came across and eventually pushed us out. And then we had to resettle. We went west and went north, and we resettled in the Great Lakes region around northern Minnesota and southern Canada. And I described this tribal culture, the society of this tribe. I described it as a tribal culture where the family systems, each one had a role in society. My role in that society was a part of the council members of the society. But each family had their role, and each role was essential to the functioning of the society. I described structures that were more attuned to wigwams. And as I described this, he asked me the name of this tribe. Well, I grew up in the 1960s as a kid. I watched all the cowboy and Indian movies from Hollywood back in those days. I knew the Comanche and the Apache and the Cherokee. I get the Sioux and the Lakota, all that sort of stuff. I grew up in Massachusetts. I get the Native American story as well. But what came through my mind in that moment, when he asked me, what's the name of your tribe, was Ojibwa. Now, I had no idea what that meant. What the heck Ojibwa meant. So then he brings me out of it. And there's more to the story. And I'll add more to the story at some point. But I want to keep to the point of the story. Now, I came out of it like, wow, what was that? Did I just make that up? Where did that come from? Because in this work of past life regression work, you know what you know, and you know what you don't know. And I knew none of this information. Now, this is 1994, before the internet is the internet, really. And my mentor, Bert Colas, goes to the library to check this out. And he calls me a few days later. And he says, tell me, what do you know of the Ojibwas? And I'm like, I know nothing about them, except maybe what I said, what's going on? He said, you described them exactly. Their migration, their family system, their shelters. And as he's telling me this, he said, and guess where they landed? Guess where they settled? And I said, I can guess, but tell me. He said, exactly where you said they were, right in the Great Lakes region, right above northern Minnesota and southern Canada. My only response to Bert in that moment was, okay, when are we doing the next one? And I did 10 of them with Bert over a 2-year period, each one unique, but each one woven into my life now and woven into each other. I've been a Mongolian warrior who died during battle at a young age. I've been a serf in the Dark Ages who died during a moment of lust. And we'll talk about all these things. In my last life, seemingly I was a prostitute who grew up in a farm in the northern New Hampshire, who died in New York City. There's so many other stories I could tell you about each unique life. It's like, where are these stories coming from? Certainly, if nothing else was a part of it, if there was no science, nothing else to this, I think this was depth psychology. Stories coming from the unconscious of my mind through the subconscious and helping and elaborating whatever's going on that is woven into the neuropsychology of my mind. But I couldn't create such stories like this. I'm just not that intelligent. So in that moment when I came out of that past life regression, that moment 2 days later, when Bert Kohler tells me, how did you know this stuff? And the realization that I did not know it. In that moment, I took this sincerely. At that moment, I realized I had to look further into this. And I did. And that's why I do this program, to help you understand what it is I did discover along the way. You really are a soul being human. You really are in a human life right now. You really are going to leave this human body you are in, the vehicle of yours. It's not called Mitsubishi or Ford or Lexus or BMW. My body's called Jonathan, beep beep, hello. That's my vehicle. That's who I am being. But that's not who I am. And that's why I dedicate the second part of this program to the spirituality of the soul. How I counsel my clients to help them understand and see their lives through their spiritual eyes. To process their lives through their spiritual minds as souls. Because if we're just fading to black, that's it, I'm out of here. And I'm going to talk about the idea of the evolution of belief systems, the idea of deity. And I'm going to talk about it as a rational, logical evolution of the human animal that we witness actually in every child from the time of its birth as its brain is developing to the time when it finally becomes more cognizant around 5-6 years old. And we're going to talk all about this. I want to help you see your life through your spiritual eyes. I want to help you be in the realization, embodied in the truth that you are a soul being human. That's why I'm doing this program. Well, not the only reason. This is kind of like my spiritual bucket list. This is kind of like my little karmic something. I can't tell you how nervous I was before I started, and how I continue to be nervous about this. But if you hung out till now, if you're listening, continue on. Absolutely. And I'm just going to check with Dimitri. Dimitri, do we have any callers or anything that, no? All right, cool. No problem, no issues. No, great. Then I'm just going to talk a little further along. And if you want to, please call in 857-366-5444, 5444, or text at 857-445-0424, or message me on Facebook. And thank you very much for all the people who have called and said hello, for all the people who have messaged me. And thank you very much for all the people who have stuck around. Now, there's a few more minutes before we go to the second part of our program. And as I do, I want to help you understand, just because I tell you this past life regression story doesn't mean that I share the fullness of knowing. No. Let's face it, there's a wonderful statement out there, and I adapt it this way. For those who have experienced, no explanation is necessary. For those who have not, no explanation is possible. So if you feel that you want to have the experience of going into a past life to see what is this phenomena all about, I will help you see it. We're going to talk all about that next week, about the things I look for from my clients, the things I want my clients to come understand about themselves in the process, so that you can let go of what's taking place and immerse yourself into the past life and the past life regression experience. And we'll do much more of that next week. But the process of knowing, that's a process through time. Of course, Mom, I can never let you know what it is I've come to know. I can never let you know my moment of realization. And all I can do is share with you my journey. And by sharing my journey, I hope you see me as a relatively rational and grounded individual. But as my mother knows, I look into things really deeply. The books I've shown you are a fraction of the library that I have read and checked out over time. And I'm going to share much of that with you. And I really would like you to share back with me. In the next part of the program, the spirituality of the soul, we're going to be talking much more about what it means to be a soul, to see yourself through your spiritual eyes, to think through your spiritual mind, to help you realize that you are here right now. So in the next part of the program, we'll get much more deeply into what I've come to discover. Again, my background's in psychology. I'm trained in systems theory, but my specialty is ego psychology. I've looked at the soul. This has been my passion. And in this passion, I've come to take these threads of information and weave them together. Again, I hope to have really wonderful people on to share. Perhaps, am I on or am I off? And it'd be wonderful to have them help me understand more if there's more to understand, to help you understand more if there's more to understand. But this place, this is the only place, well, not only, but feel free. This is one of the unique places where you can talk about past lives and past life regression, the afterlife and life between lives regression, and the spirituality of the soul. And in doing that, I hope you feel that you can come here every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. and find a place to listen to ground yourself back into the realization that you are a soul being human. You know, my past life as this Native American came with a name. And I don't know if it's a real name or not. I never looked further into it. But the name was Anadue. It sounded Native American. It meant a promise to be kept. And at some point, as I went through that lifetime, I was there in a scene, sitting around a fire in a council meeting. I was slightly elevated, and certainly you can let ego get in the way and go, oh gosh, here we go, making something up. But I'm more fascinated than anything else. And as I went through that experience, each scene became more vivid than the next. I went through scenes where I was attacked by a bear in the forest. I went through the scene of my death. And as I went through the scene of my death, I had people around me, people I identified from this life. And that's the coolest thing, is when you start to identify people from your past lives into your present life. So this whole conversation we're going to share, I hope you really appreciate and enjoy the experience of sharing your story with others and helping them see. For people who have been here, who have done this with me, share how it's gone on with you. In the next week, please tune in. I would love for you to tell about your story. Absolutely. To share your story so that people can see the effect of what it was that you went through, not just what I went through. I get what I went through. I can't share my knowing. But as we continue to share each other's knowing, certainly enough of us get there in understanding what it is that is actually taking place in this phenomena we call life. Because when my Uncle Ricky asked me that question, am I born, live, die, and fade to black? That was it. That was it. And I'm not living on the beach in the Caribbean. I'm living with my beautiful wife and child here in New England. And that's awesome. And I get to wake up to them every morning. And I get to share with my clients, and now with you, this realization. And it doesn't have to be your truth. I encourage you, don't take me as someone who's an absolute fact, of course. This is just what I've discovered. I want you to take what I've come to know and look at it. Absolutely. Absolutely call me with any correction if I am misperceiving. So in this show, this is a back and forth. This is a collaboration. We develop this and bring this together. This community, this forum, this opportunity. In the next hour, it's about the spirituality of the soul.
Aren't you tired of your plain white walls? Do you ever wonder why you feel uninspired at the office or feel like your home lacks character? It's always the same boring walls over and over again. Well, it's time for a change. Visit walldecor3d.com and order wall panels that will turn your walls into beautiful and extravagant looking accent walls. The 3D wall panels give an extra dimension and complement just about any room. Their current selection includes plant fiber wall paneling, MDF wood wall panels, mosaic real wood paneling, and thin slate stone veneer. Remember, that's waldecor3d.com. Order now and add some depth to your life. In a world filled with many distractions, would it be incredible to find a way to get lost in your own choosing? Do you love to hear crisp audio from your favorite podcasts? Have you ever felt like the soundtrack to a movie or a video game would sound greater if there was a better way to deliver sound? Bear Dynamic closed-back studio headphones are a perfect tool for any sound enthusiast. Plug in your Bear Dynamic headphones and go on an audio escape. The Bear Dynamic DT770 Pro headphones are a favorite amongst music producers, sound engineers, and broadcasters all over the world. If you're not prepared to compromise on studio sound, visit www.beardynamic.com. That's www.beardynamic.com and get your own pair now. Whether for home or on the go, it is the right product for every need. Have you always wanted to make your own podcast? Or had dreams of becoming the next social media influencer? Don't let office space and equipment be what gets between you and your dreams. New studio space is now available through the Go Network. The Go Network is a multimedia broadcast company that currently hosts live radio shows and podcasts. With microphones to fit all guests, the ability to video record interviews, a stage for band performances, and an editing suite to put your audio and video content to the next level. The Go Network will provide assistance with producing, editing, sponsorship outreach, marketing, and more. You can create the podcast or web series you want with the lower price tag. Visit our studio location in Norwood or our audio suite in Canton. For more information, call us at 857-445-0424 or email us at info@gonet.com. That's info@geauxnet.com.
Has your computer seen better days? Is it always freezing and lagging? Are you constantly plagued with pop-ups and viruses? Are you not able to get any work done? You don't need a new computer. You need Phoenix Technology Support. With just one call to Phoenix Technology Support, you will never have to stress over the hassles of taking your computer to a repair shop again. Just leave your computer right where it is and let us come directly to you. Phoenix Technology Support has over 10 years of experience in the industry of customer support and IT solutions, and it's the best place for help with all of your home or business electronics. From gaming systems to tablet setups, smartphones to smart TVs, even business servers and emails. We will help set up or troubleshoot almost any technology in your home or office. So next time you think your technology is at the end of its life, have it rise from the ashes like a phoenix by calling Phoenix Technology Support at 617-658-3240. That's 617-658-3240, or go to www.phoenixtechboston.com.
Every day, noon and midnight, tune in to Gag Order Network for twice-a-day interview replays of your favorite stars and celebs. Hear about George Clinton's Boston connection.
Where did Dr. Funkenstein obtain his doctorate?
Oh, Berkeley, Boston, yeah, I got my doctorate.
Find out what X Factor winner Melanie Amaro is up to.
Working on music with different producers and meeting with different writers and whatnot. So I'm working. I'm definitely working.
Every day at 12 p.m. and 12 a.m., we're replaying your favorites, like how Anchorman and Saturday Night Live star David Koechner got started.
Then I visited a friend up in Chicago. I went to a show at the Second City. I noticed that they taught classes, and it's like a light bulb went off. That's how you get here. You study.
Giving you more of what you want here on GagOrderNetwork.com. You can also download the TuneIn app, search Gag Order Network, and now you can set your TuneIn autoplay to launch at noon and midnight.
If you're just hearing about Monk Therapeutic Air for the first time, it's a recyclable diffuser that promotes mood change and life-enhancing effects through our custom blends of essential oils in the ancient practice of aromatherapy. Monk is the simplest aromatherapy device in history. You don't have to know anything about essential oils. We do all that for you. Simply pick the way you want to feel, open your Monk, and breathe in as your Monk diffuses an eclectic blend of essential oils and wild plant extracts. Monk is available in 7 different blends, all of which are organic, natural, and free of nicotine, tobacco, or artificial chemicals. Visit monq.com to learn more.
Are you in need of stickers, be it for personal or business use? Then you need to go to stickeryou.com right now. That's stickeryou.com. Sticker U is passionate about providing you and your business with the highest quality custom stickers, labels, decals, and iron-ons. They can even make you temporary tattoos. If you want to stick out from the competition, then you need Sticker U, as Sticker U provides the best platform in the world to create custom products that make you stick.
When I'm feeling sluggish, I'm not looking for the jittery feeling of coffee. I'm reaching for Neurosonic, the only energy drink I trust to keep me going. Neurosonic is just one of the great drinks in the neurofunctioning beverages line. When I'm stressing an interview, Neuro Bliss keeps me cool, calm, and collected. And when it's time to call it a night, I don't want sleeping pills and all the crazy after effects you hear about. I want Neuro Sleep to help me drift off to dreamland. Neuro drinks are surprisingly low calorie and full of the healthiest and most efficacious vitamins and minerals. Artificial flavors and colors don't work for them, and neither should they for you, so they don't allow them in their drinks. To find a store near you that carries Neuro, go to drinkneuro.com or visit amazon.com to order a 12-pack. Neuro, drink with a purpose.
Is there any survival after death? That's a real question, isn't it, sir? You want to talk about death? Shall we go into it? Are you interested in it?
That, I just want to respond to some of the awesome comments and some of the questions that people are actually asking me. And I really, of course, live and not able to actually perhaps see these as best as I want to. Let's see. You know what? I am going to have to... Okay. I will offer this, folks. I don't think I can respond right now because I don't see everything as clearly as I want to see it. So it's my own thing, and so I'm going to move on. That was Krishnamurti, by the way. He was in India in the early 1980s, and he had a bunch of students with him. And these students asked him questions. And so in this question, what they asked him was, well, what happens after death? And certainly Krishnamurti had his answers. And so that's the part of the part I like, because I like that he says, what, you want to talk about death? Is that what you want? And I get it. See, there's a reason why we talk about death. Because it's only through death do we actually have a sense of spirituality. Do we actually move into spirituality? So in that moment, in that realization, when Krishnamurti says, do you want to talk about death? What he's really entering into a conversation about is spirituality. Because that's how I entered into spirituality and the idea of death. Certainly not from life. That's how we do it, right? That's how we enter into spirituality. I'm going to pause for one moment. And as Dimitri is off the phone, Dimitri, pause for one moment if you could. No? Folks, this is going to be a very uncommon moment. I have to close the door. I did not do that before I walked in the room. Give me 1 minute. I will be right back. I can close the door. Ta-da! Being live. What do you know? So anyway, as I talked about this, there's a reason why I had Krishnamurti on as the opening to this segment. Because it's only through death that we consider life. It's only through death do we enter into spirituality. For those who don't consider death, there's no need to enter into such things. But for us, for the people who do, this is when seeking comes about. This is when my uncle asked me that incredible question. And in asking me that incredible question, through his death, I explored life. And I explored what it is to be here. I mean, as a soul, the idea that as a soul we are here, growing through human lifetimes, learning life lessons, all with purpose, all with meaning. I get that part of it. But there's so many other parts. See, the only way we can do this as souls, the only way we can understand our nature and our purpose for being here is to understand the dimensions of the self that we operate through. And let me explain what that means. See, as a soul, you are a spiritual ego. You are a self. And that reality of being a self, through the work I do, what we recognize is this, that you are a uniqueness in all of life. that you are not separate from life. No, we are individuated droplets within life, unique in our energetic matrix. But not only are we unique in our energetic matrix, we are unique in the consciousness of life. Because life seemingly operates through the understanding of what I would call consciousness energy. And we'll talk about that in other programs. But the point of this conversation, the idea that you are this uniqueness, is that not only are you unique in its consciousness, it's depicted in your spiritual character as a soul. And in doing that, excuse me, phone call? All right. In that uniqueness as a soul, I'm going to offer you this. We're going to take a phone call in just a few minutes, but I want to finish that thought. And the thought is this: as a soul, in this uniqueness, in this depiction of your spiritual character, as a soul, you have journeyed through lifetimes, not just as a soul, as life. And in doing that, and not being separate from life, as an aspect of life, individuated within it, in the journey you are on, you operate through an experience of what life is. Yourself operates beyond just the idea of a spiritual self, beyond divine self. You are a creator self. You are functioning through a neural self. And in the big picture of it all, we are a one self. And I'll talk much more about that in future time, what that really means. And as I looked in all this work, as I went through all this, I came to this kind of formulation of understanding. But something else inspired me along the way to further this kind of understanding and to work in doing the work I do. Because when I do this spiritual counseling, how do you see your life through your spiritual eyes? How do you process your life through your spiritual mind as a soul? How do you become present? So that every morning when you wake up, it is not lost on you. It is present. It is breathing. It's not a thought. It's in the chest. It's here in the core. That experience that you are here now and that everything around you operates for you to grow through as we do for each other. You know, there's a reason why you don't do unto others as you would do unto yourself, because the other is you. There is a oneness, and there is a science that says there is a oneness. Check out the first law of thermodynamics, conservation principle of energy, that says energy cannot be created and destroyed. And if you think about it rationally, logically, think about it. Take your cells and break them down to molecules, your molecules to atoms, your atoms to subatomic particles, and you continue to go. My physicist friend would say, well, you're nothing more than a void with emergent particles coming forward. Yeah, but we all know that particles are part of a wave-particle duality. What is congealing wave patterns? What is generating the emergence of the particular that is you as a soul in the experience of life? Again, not separate from it, individuated within it. So a lot of the conversation around the idea of the spirituality of the soul takes into consideration that you are a soul, that it's the foundation of why you're here to grow, as we all are here to grow. And I'm going to put on the headphones and take a call. Okay, hold on. Hello, caller. Thank you for calling.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Who am I speaking with?
Andrea.
Hi, Andrea. Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Jonathan, thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. You know, so please, what's on your mind?
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, I have 3 children, and my first is adopted, and he is now 28, and we got him when he was 5 days old, and a beautiful, sweet boy, and I have a question because now he isn't really in my life, and he's angry, and I'm just wondering your thoughts on that.
Okay. Was there an incident or something that occurred that took him out of your life?
He became very, very religious, and I did get divorced, and he's Lubavitch now, and he kept getting more and more religious and he's very literal, very black and white. I would say he's probably Asperger's.
Okay.
And he just has always blamed me for everything and anything. And his siblings and I are extremely close. And
Understood.
he shut out me and my entire family.
Okay.
5 years ago after his wedding and doesn't speak to anybody.
Okay. I gotcha. So he's really pulling a lot from you and your family. He's really requiring a lot from you to have to continue to have him somehow in your life. Because certainly this absence is certainly affecting the family as a whole. But let me ask you this, Andrea, how is it affecting you? How is it affecting you personally?
Well, personally, my heart aches every day.
Okay.
At the beginning, I was getting phically and mentally sick from it, and I have two other children that I had to be okay for.
Yeah,
so
right on.
Got to a place where he is safe, and he's married with two beautiful children, although I've never met them, and he's blocked his number, the whole thing. But I know he's safe and he's happy, so that gives me peace.
Understood.
But it's very sad for him because we all love him, and he feels like I disappointed him in some way, and it's just, the whole thing is just sad. Sad
Do
for
you
him,
feel,
sad for
Andrea, do you feel that you disappointed him?
Oh, if I could go back, I would have done things a little bit different just because I now understand Asperger's more, and where he's so black and white, whatever I said, he took so literal.
So how do you feel inside about that? Do you carry any energy about this, that you didn't have that knowledge?
Oh, of course.
All right.
Absolutely.
I'm going to stop you right there. I want to help you see this through the spiritual eyes of you as a soul being here in this human life. See, you had to play your role. You had to do what you had to do in order for him to do what he has to do. In this moment of division from the family, don't see this as eternity. See this as a moment in time. And as a being who loves this child of yours, who wishes him nothing but safety and love and marriage and happiness, if someone told you at the beginning of his life, he'll have all that, but you won't be in his life, or he'll have none of that, but you'll always be in his life, what would you have chosen?
No, I get that, and that's what I think. Of course, I don't know, Jonathan. That's a tough one.
Of course it is.
No, but I get what you're saying, because sometimes I think, my God, he could have done something maybe destructive, or he could be doing drugs because he was trying to find something, but he's safe and he's happy, and his two beautiful children, a nice wife. He just, I think the thing I most feel bad about, as much as I feel bad for myself, I feel more bad for him that he doesn't think that I loved him enough.
Don't do that.
And
don't.
That makes me feel more bad for him.
Don't. See, when you do that, you devalue his journey. You devalue your journey. You devalue the role that you play in each other's lives, because in the spiritual dimension, Andrea, you and he, in my view, you raised your hands, and he said, I need someone who's going to love me through a very bad moment in my life. And you said, you know what? I will be there for you. I'm not going to like what you do. It's going to hurt me deeply, and I will have to grow from that moment myself without you knowing that your presence will not be there. But if this is what you need, if this is what I can be for you, I will be that one for you. And in this life, as a soul, that's exactly what you've been. So you had to play your role. You had to go with what you knew and what you didn't know. And what I'm hearing from you, Andrea, is you love this boy. You love your children. And up to the point of him getting married, you had a nice relationship with your son, if that's what I'm hearing.
Well, no, he struggled with me for probably, 5th grade, very unhappy in school. So said to me, Mom, I'm not going back. And I thought, this kid's very literal. My other two I would have put on the bus or drove.
Gotcha.
And I found a school it was a Jewish school, which I wasn't even looking for a Jewish school, but it was the only school that would take him in the middle of his 5th grade year. Mm-hmm. And then he became more and more and more religious, and I think it was because he needed something.
Okay.
And
if it
gave him a set of rules to live by, but then once he got married, he just shut us all out.
I know. And I hurt for that, because I get it in my own way. I get it. When you feel shut out by somebody, it hurts. But in the reality of it all, there's nothing you can do because you don't control this. He controls this.
No.
So how can you control this? Well, as I just got through talking about this idea of consciousness and energy, if I break your cells down to molecules and yada, yada, that you're nothing more than energy, in this moment, if you're radiating into the field of life, worry, angst, hurt, betrayal, abandonment, any feelings whatsoever, then what you do is he receives that and he can only respond to those energies. But what we do as we radiate into our life, we actually pull from the other. They're positive or negative being. They're still going to be who they are. But if I go into a place and I'm all angry and nasty, I'm going to pull nasty from that person. If I go happy and smiley, I'm likely, it's like they're walking down the street. When you smile at people, people will smile back. So while he's not in your life, and don't see this as an ending, see this as a moment. This isn't eternal. You and your family, you must go on, of course, and each one will deal with it in their unique way. And each one will feel the loss of him when he's not there during functions. I get that in my own way. I can appreciate it. But the sustenance of the family doesn't stop because his presence isn't there.
No, absolutely. Now I have a question.
Sure.
Do I show up at his doorstep?
No. I wouldn't encourage it. Because now you insist yourself into him, into his life. And what are you demonstrating when you do that? How does it serve you?
Well, it serves me because he's my child, and I don't think I should ever keep stopping to try.
Okay. If you choose to want to do that, are you ready for any repercussions that may come from it?
Yes, my husband constantly says he's just going to shut the door. But you know what? As a mother, I don't want to ever stop trying.
So then as a mother, you don't need to physically be present to try. You need to be spiritually present in that sense. This is why I do this show. This is why I speak in this way. And the way you can do it spiritually present without having to be physically present is when you bring him into your mind, bring him into your heart. Not the worry and the angst. Remember the moment he was born, perhaps, or the moment that you felt the moment you felt the most love.
When he was young, all the time.
And when you do that, then you bring him into your mind. You don't bring him into your mind until you feel this love, because what you're doing in that moment is, even though unbeknownst to you and he is feeling this love. Absolutely. Do it over time.
Well, how do you? All right, Jonathan, back it up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
How do you know he's feeling that?
Well, if this is a oneness, if this energetically, there's no time and no space, if we are souls being human in this energetic environment that we call this human experience, he's feeling it. There's enough science to help us see this. In future programs, I'll talk much more deeply about that, what science lets us know, that how others can feel us, even though we're not there, as an energetic expression. They've done a lot of research on this. It's a lot of fun to go through. So I can't go through all that today, and thank you for bringing me down sometimes. As you can tell, I get very passionate.
I know you do. You're adorable.
But in that passion, the recognition is this. You have a choice, and as souls, that's always the bottom line. In that choice, there will always be the ripple effect of outcome. If you are comfortable with what may happen, if you have to go through something in order to appease your feeling of, okay, I gave it my best and now he knows I'm not giving up on him, I encourage you to do it. But if he doesn't respond...
Well, I do. He blocked my number, but I call his wife, who has not blocked my number. She never calls me back. And she doesn't answer. Okay. But I leave her messages at least once a week, twice a week.
Got you. Andrea, I'm going to close this down in this way. Stop trying so hard. Let it go. You have to free yourself. You have to free yourself in order to free yourself and he to one day meet again. It's going to happen. It's inevitable.
Do you think it's going to happen, Jonathan?
If you project in the way that I'm saying, if you bring the realization that this is a much deeper reality than what you can best understand. If you bring this realization to your everyday life, in this moment, if you can see that I'm not a human having this experience with this son, that's that's kind of a possessive mind state. I am truly am a soul being with this other soul, and whatever he is acting out, how can I be with him still when he doesn't want to be here with me? If your human self, your neurally conditioned self wants to go to his door and knock on his door and feel the effects of that, Andrea, go ahead and do it, absolutely. But if you want to operate like a spiritual being in your human experience, then know that your radiance is the most essential part of the healing of this moment. Not for him, but for you. And at some time, through time, he will come around. It's going to happen. He's 28. He's growing. It'll happen.
Right.
It'll happen.
Well, Jonathan, you were a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope that was helpful. If not, certainly you can call me after hours. I'm more than happy to discuss this further with you. You can go to my website and contact me, and absolutely I'd be more than happy to spend more time with you on this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Enjoy and good luck to you.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, that was really awesome. That really was. Thank you, Andrea, very, 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 very much. That was my first call. And as you can see in the first show, they will be imperfect as always. But I want you to understand the gist of what I was just talking about. Because Andrea brings up a really, really good point. What happens when the one that we love so dearly, that we tried so deeply to raise with all the heart that we could give, imperfect as we are going to be in raising these children. I have a little boy. I am totally imperfect. Shoot. There were times when he was very little, I almost dropped a little bugger on his head. Believe me, I get it. I am so glad I hadn't damaged this kid. And if you have children, you know what I mean. We are going to be imperfect. But our children are going to have to go through their growth. They're going to have to find themselves. If I have a child who's such, with a mindset that perhaps is Asperger type, who has been very involved in a religious movement, that in this lifetime for that soul, that is absolutely necessary. And if I bring anything that is other than love into that moment, then I devalue my relationship to him in the spiritual reasoning and his relationship to me. So that's what I mean when I say, Andrea, that I get your human part. And thank you for, again, folks, you can see I get very, very passionate. And in the future, I'll try to find myself my balance, certainly. But don't let my passion, don't be mistaken my passion, and don't lose the message involved. Because the message continues on to help you see your life through your spiritual eyes and to think through your spiritual mind. I don't expect an automatic light to turn on when I provide counsel. But what I do hope for is that you allow the consideration of what I say as a possibility that is actually closer to actuality than anything else that has been known out there. And if you have a child that seemingly has disowned you in the moment, that has shut you out of its life, then know one thing: you can help this child come back into your life. And I'll tell you what, starting next segment, I'm going to tell you how I did that in my life. Okay, Andrea, stick around. And for all those else, stick around. I'm going to tell you how I did that. I'm not going to make it a secret. Get it? Get it? I'm not going to make it a secret. There's something that happened for me that I did in this exact moment. And I'm going to, when I do this to the people that have been involved in that moment, God love you. I apologize if it comes out sounding terrible, but that's not the intention. The intention is to help the audience see, well, okay, Jonathan, you gave Andrea this advice. It all sounds good, this spiritual thing. Well, you know what? You take knowing into knowing, you need experience. And I had my experience. And I'm going to share that experience with you. I wasn't intending to go in this direction, but that's what I love about live radio. You never know the direction you're going to go through. This is an intro program. So all this is a little first dip into the pool. And as we dip into the pool together, please continue to be a part of this. Continue to call and continue to help me help you and let you help me. Because as I do talk with you through the airwaves, I will get better in understanding how I can better counsel through radio. I mean, people come to me for a few hours at a time. There's a lot we discuss. There's a lot of background information we go through. Now we're going to go through the next 5 minutes, having another break at 8:25 to 8:30. This is the Past Life Regression radio show and Spirituality for Souls. Everybody, Andrea and everybody stick around. I'm going to tell you how I made this happen in my own life. Thank you again.
Is there any survival after death? That's a real question, isn't it, sir? You want to talk about death? Shall we go into it? Are you interested in it?
If you're just hearing about Monk Therapeutic Air for the first time, it's a recyclable diffuser that promotes mood change and life-enhancing effects through our custom blends of essential oils in the ancient practice of aromatherapy. Monk is the simplest aromatherapy device in history. You don't have to know anything about essential oils. We do all that for you. Simply pick the way you want to feel, open your Monk, and breathe in as your Monk diffuses an eclectic blend of essential oils and wild plant extracts. Monk is available in 7 different blends, all of which are organic, natural, and free of nicotine, tobacco, or artificial chemicals. Visit monq.com to learn more.
Aren't you tired of your plain white walls? Do you ever wonder why you feel uninspired at the office or feel like your home lacks character? It's always the same boring walls over and over again. Well, it's time for a change. Visit walldecor3d.com and order wall panels that will turn your walls into beautiful and extravagant looking accent walls. The 3D wall panels give an extra dimension and complement just about any room. Their current selection includes plant fiber wall paneling, MDF wood wall panels, mosaic real wood paneling, and thin slate stone veneer. Remember, that's walldecor3d.com. Order now and add some depth to your life. In a world filled with many distractions, would it be incredible to find a way to get lost in your own choosing? Do you love to hear crisp audio from your favorite podcasts? Have you ever felt like the soundtrack to a movie or a video game would sound greater if there was a better way to deliver sound? Bear Dynamic closed-back studio headphones are a perfect tool for any sound enthusiast. Plug in your Bear Dynamic headphones and go on an audio escape. The Bear Dynamic DT770 Pro headphones are a favorite amongst music producers, sound engineers, and broadcasters all over the world. If you're not prepared to compromise on studio sound, visit www.beardynamic.com. That's www.beardynamic.com and get your own pair now. Whether for home or on the go, it is the right product for every need.
When I'm feeling sluggish, I'm not looking for the jittery feeling of coffee. I'm reaching for Neurosonic, the only energy drink I trust to keep me going. Neurosonic is just one of the great drinks in the neurofunctioning beverages line. When I'm stressing an interview, Neuro Bliss keeps me cool, calm, and collected. And when it's time to call it a night, I don't want sleeping pills and all the crazy after effects you hear about. I want Neuro Sleep to help me drift off to dreamland. Neuro drinks are surprisingly low calorie and full of the healthiest and most efficacious vitamins and minerals. Artificial flavors and colors don't work for them, and neither should they for you, so they don't allow them in their drinks. To find a store near you that carries Neuro, go to drinkneuro.com or visit amazon.com to order a 12-pack. Neuro, drink with a purpose.
Have you always wanted to make your own podcast? Or had dreams of becoming the next social media influencer? Don't let office space and equipment be what gets between you and your dreams. New studio space is now available through the Go Network. The Go Network is a multimedia broadcast company that currently hosts live radio shows and podcasts. With microphones to fit all guests, the ability to video record interviews, a stage for band performances, and an editing suite to put your audio and video content to the next level. The Go Network will provide assistance with producing, editing, sponsorship outreach, marketing, and more. You can create the podcast or web series you want with the lower price tag. Visit our studio location in Norwood or our audio suite in Canton. For more information, call us at 857-445-0424 or email us at info@gonet.com. That's info@geauxnet.com.
Are you in need of stickers, be it for personal or business use? Then you need to go to stickeryou.com right now. That's stickeryou.com. Sticker U is passionate about providing you and your business with the highest quality custom stickers, labels, decals, and iron-ons. They can even make you temporary tattoos. If you want to stick out from the competition, then you need Sticker U, as Sticker U provides the best platform in the world to create custom products that make you stick.
Has your computer seen better days? Is it always freezing and lagging? Are you constantly plagued with pop-ups and viruses? Are you not able to get any work done? You don't need a new computer. You need Phoenix Technology Support. With just one call to Phoenix Technology Support, you will never have to stress over the hassles of taking your computer to a repair shop again. Just leave your computer right where it is and let us come directly to you. Phoenix Technology Support has over 10 years of experience in the industry of customer support and IT solutions, and it's the best place for help with all of your home or business electronics. From gaming systems to tablet setups, smartphones to smart TVs, even business servers and emails. We will help set up or troubleshoot almost any technology in your home or office. So next time you think your technology is at the end of its life, have it rise from the ashes like a phoenix by calling Phoenix Technology Support at 617-658-3240. That's 617-658-3240, or go to www.phoenixtechboston.com.
So, past, present, future, you exist, the body changes. Is it not clear? The conclusion that when he'll not have this body, he'll have another body.
Spirituality for souls. We are in the last part of our program, the last half hour, in the section when we talk about the spirituality of the souls. Alex, I know you're online right now, or you're hanging on a call. Just hang on a few more minutes. I want to share my story with Andrea. I was finally able to get to see my messages. I just want to say that, Hildegard, if you would, that's an awesome question. I love it. I can actually talk much more about that next week. I don't know if I'm going to get time to it this week, but it's an awesome question. Even though some of the texts, I'll also try to get those before we finish up. But I just wanted to share with you the story that about how I went through my moment, Andrea, and everybody else. Excuse me, I'm just going to shut down there we go. And how I went through my moment. This moment of what I'm talking about to you. This moment of, if I can't be present with somebody, how does this affect, how does this happen? Now, I don't know if you ever know if you know about this, the DVD called The Secret. This is the idea of the law of attraction. I'm going to speak mostly in the work we do together in the science of the law of attraction, but this is about the law of attraction. And in this DVD, The Secret, there's a tribe in Africa. And I wasn't expecting to talk about this, so pardon me as I do. And this tribe would carry around a rock. And they called it a gratitude rock. And they found that as they visited this tribe, there was no discord. There was no conflict within this tribe, as each person carried this gratitude rock. And what they did is they would radiate thoughts of gratitude into this object. And as they did that, they would induce feelings. Now, what they're doing neurologically is they're doing a Pavlov dog. If you don't know about Pavlov's dog, you ring the bell, the dog salivates. Put some food in front of it, it eats it. Take the food away, ring the bell, the dog still salivates. It's called operant conditioning. And these people actually neurologically structure the feeling of gratitude into their lives through this object called a gratitude rock. Well, I'm going to tell you a story back in 2007, thereabouts. And I'm working for my brother-in-law. And I love this guy. He's a good man. He takes great care of my family. And at the time, he was opening a business. And he asked me, as I came back to Massachusetts and starting my private practice, if I wanted to help him in this work. And in the same time, it would help me. I said, sure. And so for the first few weeks, things were really kind of cool, very, very exciting. But sure enough, and he knows this, and he knows I love him, it fell apart. And when it fell apart, I could feel myself energetically getting angry and distancing. And I could feel my brother-in-law distancing. And what was the first few weeks when we'd get together and have chit-chats and maybe go out for lunch, I'd spend time in his office, he'd come by and visit me, became nothing. Nothing at all. For weeks at a time, we were ships in a night, not interacting or touching upon each other whatsoever. And it was disturbing the heck out of me, because I had to go there every day. So I thought about, what can I do? What can I do to alter this? Now, the difference in this one, Andrea, is this. He was present as far as being in the field of my environment, but no way was he present in my life. And we had this incredible distancing, this fracture that was going on, this feeling that we just couldn't connect anymore. We were very close before it all began. Now it's like, uh-oh, what do we do to this? And so we always said, don't work with family. Well, I would argue that sometimes it's best to. Because when you go through these moments, it helps you grow to the other side. So what happened? I got my own gratitude rock. But instead, and I didn't bring it in with me today, I have a little amethyst given to me by my mentor, Bert Corliss. And Bert gave me this amethyst just to remind me of the work we had done together. But I would take this amethyst into work with me. And I brought 3 positive thoughts into this amethyst every day. It would help me induce a feeling inside me. One thought was, my brother-in-law will never have this time again. This is unique. This is a unique moment of sharing that we both have. The second thought was, he takes such great care of my family. He's wonderful to my sister and his kids. He's wonderful to my mother and my father when my father was still alive. He's a good guy with a good heart. So I brought those two thoughts in there. And the third thought that I brought in that really helped me solidify it all is the recognition that in truth, he was trying to help me. And I really wanted to help him. We were doing this to bond, not to fracture. And so I'd be there by the copier, making my copies in this kind of tedious little work I was doing, and I would touch this rock, or I'd think about it, and a little bubble would pop into my mind. And the feeling of truth, of authenticity, because there's one thing spiritually speaking that you must be aware of. There's one rule to being here in your human life. You must be authentic to who you are and act in genuine accordance with what you know in your moment of knowing, so that when the moment of knowing comes around, you can allow your knowing to grow. And as your knowing grows and you get more knowing, it will continue to grow. That's how it works. That's how you work. That's how we work. That's how this seemingly works. And again, much more future time conversations and other programs. But for this moment, as I touched this rock, as I brought it into my field of experience, as I radiated positive thoughts and feelings about my brother-in-law, I felt a change in me. I felt like, yeah. And it became more of a reality. And within a few weeks, sure enough, my brother-in-law is knocking on that door saying, "Hey, how you doing?" And we're sitting there late at night and we're chit-chatting away. And certainly, the only thing that changed, that brought that moment, I didn't go searching him out. I didn't knock on his door. I let him come to me. I radiated into the field. I know it sounds really far out, really far-fetched. And you don't have to believe in it. Look into it. And you'll see that the radiance of your nature is essential for the outcomes you seek to create. So Andrea and anybody else like Andrea, if you want people in your life, if you want the people that you feel lost with, if you want to make amends, don't do it to the other people. Do it within yourself. Bring the feeling to you. And as you do, then you bring them into the feeling. However it works. For me, it was 3 positive thoughts. 3 thoughts that had meaning, that were real for me, not just bull, like I was just trying to create these thoughts. These really mattered to me because my brother-in-law mattered to me. And in that change, sure, we go through our ebbs and flows. We all do in our relationships. But through time, when we wisen through the years, we recognize the relevance of those in our lives and the relevance of what it is, the meaning they have, and how much we want them in our lives, how much we care about their growth. If I can't do it in their presence, I'm going to do it in my radiance. I have other stories like this through other clients who work this way. And there's actually more you can do. There's more of a kind of a program to it, and you could say, but this was the beginning, my reminder rock. So I encourage you, if you want to work on your radiance, then what you do is you find your reminder object, carry it with you, wear it with you. And then when something comes up that individual, you touch that rock, whatever it is, bring the positive thoughts in there. Radiate those positive feelings. If you have to, bring an experience in where you felt that feeling and then bring the person into the feeling, into that object. And as you touch it, as you think about it, let the bubble pop inside you. And as you do, you will see a difference in you and in the other people as well around you. It's a radiant field with a ripple effect. I'm not the first to say this, I'm just another to say it. Hopefully you're enjoying it as I do talk about this. And I think Alex has been holding on still, yes? I'm going to take a call.
Hello.
Hello, Alex.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for calling.
Yes. So I have a question. So how do you recognize those in your soul cluster and what roles that they have in your life?
Oh, that's a very good question. Well, Alex, I just want to say there will be future programs about life between lives regression and what we've come to know about it, and all about cluster groups and the relationships we have. And if you read Dr. Michael Newton's books, then you'll see that we seem to have these primary soulmates, and more than one, by the way. And we seem to have these companion soulmates that we travel some lifetimes with, not all. And then we have like souls in the neighborhood. They're like our affiliated souls. But as far as in your life now, what I say is this. Likelihood, if you're feeling connection with others, then likely these are people who have soul meaning to you. What I tell people is this. As a soul, see where your affinities go and where your aversions go. So in your family cluster, the likelihood is you likely have karma with some of these souls. How do you know you have karma? How do you know you have souls that maybe are more supportive along the way? As a souls, instead of like souls you're trying to work something out with karmically. And the way you identify these souls, and you don't know if they're in their cluster group or not, that's something that comes through discovery and regression hypnosis. You can kind of guess it in your own mind and wonderment and maybe have an intuitive hit of who may be. But through the regression hypnosis work and life between lives regression, you actually had a chance to explore that and meet the ones. Sometimes it's more friends than family. I actually had a last life, Alex, where I didn't know anybody in that last life. But there was a reason. There's stories for another time in another program. So the way you can identify souls in your life that are part of the group perhaps, or that have meaning for your life, one, we have souls that are supportive souls. Souls that stand beside us no matter what through the lifetime. And then we have souls that activate us. And I call it activated instead of triggered. And in that way, Alex, when you're activated by these souls, positively or negatively, they likely have karmic presence in your life. And they likely are souls that you've traveled and journeyed with. Perhaps part of your soul group. Did that help? Did that answer the question at all?
Yes, that helped a lot.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. You know, Alex, in this journey, in what I'm talking about now, the amazing thing is that everybody that is in your life, they are partners to you. You have chosen each other to help each other grow. And no matter what conflict you may have or whatever expression you feel with these people, there is purpose to the presence. And when you bring that into your life, that realization, then you can discover the meaning they have for you to help you grow. And as you do, then you can help them grow. And in that way, the discovery continues along. So again, the way I help my clients see these things is knowing how to grow is when you're activated. You know, I don't like to say triggered because no one's shooting you, of course. But when you're activated, when you feel it, and that hit happens, your first recognition is, okay, what's going on here? Because if this other one's coming to me and I'm feeling this energy with this other, and I am activated the way I am activated, then I am here to learn something about myself through a condition I carry in this life and the challenge it creates to make choice in this very moment when I want to say something else to this person, and yet I feel compelled to be in a different place to respond. So I went a little more elaborating about the relationship stuff as far as the spirituality of souls and our relation to each other. But as far as discovery of souls and the ones in your soul group and all that, you always know you share intimacy when you feel the support. So again, the ones that activate. So again, I hope that was helpful.
Yes, that was very helpful. Thank
Cool.
you.
Do you have a follow-up question or anything like that?
Well, I can really relate to like what you're saying because there is certain people that I feel have been in my soul cluster because like there's this guy that I know, I'm like, when I do meet him, like, we connect energetically, and I almost energetically incline in a sense.
Got you.
So it definitely makes sense.
Got you.
It definitely makes sense what you're saying.
So let me ask you, when you come across this guy, and I call it, you're activated, you feel that energetic activation, is it reciprocated? Is it both of you in here feeling the same expression?
I feel yes.
Okay.
He hasn't said it, but I feel like yes.
Okay. And is this something you're seeking to explore further in your life with this person?
No, but I would say every time I'm around this person, it's empowering, but I also am at a point in my life where I need to learn a certain lesson or awaken in a sense. He helped me awaken a few months ago.
Awesome.
From a bad point in my life to a really, really good point.
Isn't it? Huzzah. Fantastic. Really, that's like so awesome. You know, I love when we come into each other's lives that way. Absolutely. So wonderful, and that's awesome. Thank you so much for calling in. Please call in again. And if you want, Alex, leave your information if you want to go into the drawing for the end of the year.
Yes, I will.
Okay. So I don't know, Dimitri. Should I just have it email me? Okay. Folks, for the ones who call in, and Alex, thank you very much. You can please feel free to hang up. But thank you again. I really do appreciate you calling. All righty. For all those people who are considering wanting to be on the program, the way it's going to work is this, that if you'd like, after you speak with me, go to my website, jonathanyorks.com, or if you're having difficulty, mysoulmyself.com. Click on the contact page, and please send me an email with some of your information, and I'll put you into the pool. You can also message me on Facebook if you like. Or if you want, you can also text at 857-445-0424. Alex, thank you so much. That was awesome. It really was. Folks, in the realization of this journey, there are those who have come in with you. There are those who have journeyed with you. And there are those, and they are in your lives now, they are here with purpose. Even if they are souls that you have not been in touch with before. New souls in the journey. And I'm going to offer you this just so you have a sense of it. I come to understand karma in two ways. There's one type of karma, I'll call it trauma karma. Trauma karma is when I have a client come in, and I had this, and they have some sort of pain in their body. Something happened as a trauma in their life. It happened in Dr. Brian Weiss's book, Many Lives, Many Masters, with Catherine. She experienced a death trauma in a past life, when then a few weeks later, her symptoms cleared up. And I had a client come in who actually died traumatically with a wound in the side that he carried all his life. And his doctor said, listen, let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with you. This is all in your mind. And in the work we did, as he came to discover the wounding and the emotionality and the reasoning and the mind state around the wounding, and we'll talk more about that in future programs. And we did a little work within the subconscious mind around the healing and the recognition of the meaning and what it was meant for him and the learning he was growing through. He comes out of his trance and he's like, the pain isn't there anymore. And a few weeks later, the pain is still not there, and I'm hoping still the pain is still not there. So that's awesome for that soul. Then I have souls that come in that I would call drama karma. Now, drama karma is different. See, drama karma doesn't affect you like your survival, your threat to your life. Drama karma is an effect on your positive self-experience. That's what drama karma does. And that's the karma we have to grow through. The karma we have to make choice, Andrea. The karma in which we recognize, I know my human impulse. I know where I want to go. I know what I'm drawn to do. And I know it's not going to be a good outcome, perhaps. Then what can I do? How can I grow through this knowing? Well, I'm going to try another method. I'm going to try my reminder rock. I'm going to give it a couple of weeks. I'm going to let it go for a couple of weeks, maybe a month. And I'm going to focus my energies differently around him. And I know, Andrea, and to all those like Andrea, that in time, through time, people come back. They come back around. But we have to come back around first. Then they follow. Understand? We come around first, they follow. And as you do that, you will find an incredible realization. Now you'll take knowing into knowing. I'm talking radio. I'm pointing to my head. Knowing, like I'm talking to the camera. Knowing as I'm pointing to my head, the cognitive knowing. The knowing that this is what's taking place. You bring that knowing through experience, through the information field, into the knowing in the heart, at the core. That's where knowing comes together as a fullness. And there's only one way we can find fullness, to try new things, to let go of the neurotic. Neuro, as I point to my brain, neurological. So understanding that in the work we're going to do around the spirituality of the soul, it's going to help, my role is to help you distinguish who's driving the car. Is it the brain, the ego self? And I'll talk about that. It's my studies, it's my background, it's my expertise. Is it the spiritual self? And I'm going to talk about how you can discern the two voices of your nature as a soul in your human life so that you can better navigate. Because who's ever driving the car gets to play the radio. When you hear the messages through the radio, you know who's in the front, you know who's in the driver's seat. And we'll talk much more about that. Because the idea is to help you understand and help you bring into your life, not just through thought, but integrated through feeling. That, yeah, I'm here right now. I'm in my human life. And one day I won't be in this body. And I will come back just like my spiritual friend said at the beginning of the segment. I will come back to another body. As he said, well, you didn't see that part, but in that part, he said, one moment you're sitting here, and the next moment you're sitting over there. And that's the way the way it works. One moment you're in this body, you move through the lifetime, you take on life lessons, you understand, and you either fulfill the life lesson or not, based on the choices you made about the body, the brain, the relationships, the environment, the finances. All these factors are your conditions, your gender, the time period you're born into. All these are conditions to wire into your brain so that in the years as you become more consciously available to make choice, that when you make this choice, that you make it from a place that brings out the greatest realization of your nature and being. And if you can't discern the voice of your neural self, the voice of your ego, from you as a soul, I know my ego self drives me into a wall usually. And as you practice more and more, as you bring more of this into your life, you'll discover, very like I have, the realization that you are a soul living your human lifetime. So we're going to talk much more about this in future programs, much more about the methodology that I undertake, that I do. I'm really glad that you called in, Alex. Thank you, Andrea. That was really, really, really awesome. It is so appreciated. Please, folks, call in as well. Next week, it's going to be all about past lives and past life regression. I'm going to talk about hypnosis. I'm going to talk about trance. I'm going to talk about the brain. I'm going to talk about stories of past lives, not my story of past life, which was amazing. How the heck did that ever happen? Really, I tell you, just like you, man, I had no idea what was going through my mind. I was a first-timer like anybody else, and I did go on the journey. I did look. Because my uncle, when he asked me his most incredible question, I had to know a life philosophy that I could live by. And through knowing, I've certainly stumbled and fallen. But I've gotten to know myself as a soul. You could say I've gotten to awaken into the realization that I'm a soul here being Jonathan. And I'm in my spiritual bucket list moment, and I thank you for joining in. So this is the Past Life Regression Radio Show. I actually have a few more minutes, so I just want to again let you know next week, 7 to 9 p.m., the Past Life Regression Radio Show. We're going to talk all about past lives and past life regression. I hope to have a few people on that maybe they can share their experience with you, and we're going to take that as long as we can. We will probably take calls as well, questions you may have, but I guarantee a lot of the information I'm going to give is going to answer your questions. Then we're going to go into the second part, about the counsel part. I hope that when I do counsel, if you hear my passion, if I get really effusive, please understand I have passion behind this. Because to me, this is a truth. This is a realization. This is an actuality. And in that actuality, there's wonders. And I tell people this, if I'm delusional, this is the best one I've found, the best one out there. I looked into the other delusional systems, nothing else worked for me. And then I looked at the threads that would weave into the tapestry of understanding, of knowing. And I'm going to share that with you over the next number of weeks. I hope you tune in. Come in and spend 2 hours, spend an hour. Put us on the phone with the TuneIn app, typing in Go Network. Join us at gonet.com. See me on Facebook Live, Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. on the Past Life Regression Radio Show and Spirituality for Souls. I'm Jonathan Yorks. Dimitri, thank you very, very, very much. That was awesome. I do appreciate all the time. And I'll see you all next week. I hope you will join me for the next episode, episode 2. Until then, be wonderfully well. Thank you for joining in.